Let's see another video.
Hi, I have a question today that deals with moving on from a relationship or a situation. I've left a good friendship, changed jobs, left a joint ownership on a property. But thinking back so that I can see this sooner and not go through as much, when do you know it's time to move on? Like, I had a really good friend. We had a lot of fun together, but things just changed. Probably we both changed, the situation changed. But I kept thinking, maybe she'll be fun again. But she wasn't. She just still is going down the path she is, and I can't do anything about it. I need to take care of myself. So sometimes you have a little bit of trauma to work through even, especially with the work situation I left. So wondering.
Well, now we're going to talk again about that balancing act, because most people do decide to leave when they don't like what's happening. That's when most people leave their lovers. It's when most people quit their jobs. It's when most people want to move out of their place or break up a friendship. But knowing what you now know, after listening to us for a little while, that's taking action from the bottom half of the emotional scale. So it's usually not inspired action. It's usually, I just can't take it anymore, so I'm going to leave this. And we always say, when you leave like that, you take yourself with you, so you usually attract something like it. And you have a little bit of that going on as you're talking about different subjects of your life, like work and friendship and so on. It's not uncommon for it to affect lots of different categories of your life, is it? So the balancing act is this. We would make a decision that I am no longer, we would say if we were standing in your physical shoes, going to take action from a place of being really, really sure of what I don't want. I'm going to wait until I'm clear about what I do want, until I have made quite steady friends of the ideas and images and visions and feeling places of what I do want. Because it isn't until you are a vibrational match to what you do want that you'll be called toward it. And there's a big difference between being called to something that feels better than being driven from something that doesn't feel good. So we would spend no time looking back and saying, well, I left there out of negative emotion, because we also want to point out to you, this is really important, and we have not said this to any of you with the emphasis that we want to say it to you right now. Even if you left an unwanted situation, more knowing what you didn't want than what you did want, you can always land on your feet, because your inner being is always calling you to the path of less and less and less resistance. You don't have to get it perfect. There's no reason to look back at something that you left, or someone you left, or something that you did at one time that you think you would do differently now. You are constantly evolving. Esther says to those up close to her that she has personal and regular conversations with, I'm really a changing person. I'm changing. And so just because that was my attitude about such and such before doesn't mean that it will always be my attitude, because I keep living more life. I keep having more experiences. I keep doing a better and better job of calibrating to my inner being. I continue to see better and better, and you must let me be free to be a new person with the new ideas, and not hold me to things that I used to say. And that's what we want for all of you. We want you to no longer hold yourself to, well, just because that's what I one time believed. My mother thought this, or my father thought this. For Esther, it's Jerry always said. And Jerry would like Esther to evolve into her new understanding. She's had over 10 years now of new life experiences since Jerry and his philosophy, most of which he gathered before they were together. He wants her to let her guidance system, her now active current guidance system, take precedence over everything that she thinks that she learned from him. And so this is what we wish for you. Don't beat up on yourself about anything past. Take pleasure in your new perspective and do your best to get into a good feeling place before you take action. It will serve you. And it'll never end. You're not ever going to reach the place where you say, okay, now I've got my stance once and for all on everything. Isn't it fun for your knowledge to evolve, for your ideas about everything to evolve? Isn't it fun that this world palette of people and personalities and things to see and hear and do and have, isn't it just delicious that your vibrational evolution can keep rendering to you whole new perspectives? You counted on that when you came. We want you to enjoy it and embrace it. Now, let's see another video.
I had a question come up during meditation. It's related to the idea that you say, if you focus on something for 17 seconds, it gets more. My question was, how many seconds does it take to get less and become less powerful and thus have less momentum? And I had the thought, I know you've said that's what meditation is quieting the mind. But I was wondering, is there a reason you say 15 minutes of meditation? Will 15 minutes of quieting the mind stop even the most momentous thoughts? And also, after meditation, what's the best way to activate the thoughts you want? Or is it just natural? It'll be there. You're in alignment. And you can just trust that you're there.
A series of really nice questions there. So we've been talking about this continuum that sometimes we've been calling a train track, where if you're going 100 miles an hour towards something unwanted, you can't suddenly stop that train and in an instant go 100 miles an hour toward what you want. Physics of the universe does not allow that. You know that from your physical physics on Earth. So we've been suggesting that you allow that train an opportunity to slow. Meditation certainly slows the train. Not as much as focusing differently does, because remember, when you're meditating, you've quieted your mind. Your mind isn't active. But it puts you in a better opportunity that when you are no longer meditating, that you could, on many subjects, begin moving in the direction of wanted on that train. So, now let's be very clear here. On some subjects, you move that way on the train track. On some subjects, you're moving that way on the train tracks. That way meaning toward what you want, that other way meaning toward what you don't want. So isn't it logical that you want to spend as much time actively thinking about what you want, or start again, actively focusing when you feel good, because that means you're moving in the direction of wanted, and actively deactivating when you don't feel good, because that means you're going in the direction of what you don't want. This question has never been asked before. 17 seconds to increase momentum. How long does it take to slow momentum? And actually, those physics are equal either way. The question that you weren't quite considering is, when we say 17 seconds of pure thought, we mean pure thought. We mean thought with no resistance. Because thought with resistance goes like this: that way, 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 which doesn't gather another thought. But 17 seconds of a thought with no resistance attracts another thought with no resistance. And that is, in fact, what is momentum. So, conversely, what slows momentum is releasing that thought, releasing that thought, releasing that thought. Same amount of time. It's the same train track. It's just you focusing on wanted or unwanted. Most humans, we love you so much. You don't have pure thought about wanted or unwanted. If you had a substantial amount of more pure thought about wanted, you'd be substantially living more of your desires. And if you had a substantial amount of thought on unwanted, you'd have substantially more unwanted experiences in your life. It is your sloppy thinking, your seeming unwillingness or inability or lack of practice to focus, we call it sloppy thinking, that actually prevents you from wonderful things and terrible things, because you're back and forth. I really don't want that to happen, but it probably wouldn't happen because it hasn't happened. But wouldn't it be terrible if that happened? But I haven't seen anything like that happen, really. So, or I really want that to happen, but it's not coming fast enough. And wouldn't it be nice if I could do that? But it's just not. And wouldn't it be nice if I had a lot of money? But there's no one that's going to leave me any money, and I can't figure out. And so you're all over the place, and that keeps you in that place that's not the sweet spot, but it's not the sour spot either. But you could do so much more about deliberately focusing. That's what determination is. It's evaluating and deciding. That's what calibration is. Calibration is knowing what you're reaching for and feeling around with the intention of getting closer, whether you're tuning an engine in a car or tuning the sound on your guitar or tuning yourself to your own source energy by reaching for thoughts that feel better.